Yep, it's like magic. We're live. El Jefe, Jeff Styles. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. Have I told you about the benefits of Red Bull?
That's so good.
Guarine, taurine, and all the enes right
Uh-huh.
here. Mm.
Okay. Here's what I know. If we're gonna keep doing if we're gonna keep doing this, I gotta have some cut on this.
Oh my God.
You don't like that stuff?
Spit cut. That's what you'll get.
Oh,
It's vile.
I used to drink it all the time. I
It's
used to.
vile. It's just
Uh
like the old medicine we used to take when we were kids. It works just like syrup of Ipecac. But yeah,
Castor oil.
castor oil.
Oh God.
It's no good going down. It's no good coming back up, but it does work. Yes, I'm vibrant now.
Hey, I wanted to give a quick shout out since you're doing product placement every one of these damn videos that I get paid nothing for. I want to give a quick shout out to your production staff and your posse. That without her, literally, you're helpless technology wise. You're
Worthless.
helpless.
A worthless lump of flesh. Lurleen, Lurleen, they're saying good things about you.
I'll be honest with you. Here. I'll call Jeff or text him, or he'll say, "Hey, you want to do this?" I'll say, "Yeah, can I do this?" And he'll go, "Just call Rebecca. Just call
Talk to my
Rebecca."
brain. Talk to
Absolutely.
my brain. Talk to my brain. Thank you very
We've
much.
been talking about this for 2 days, and I get a message literally 30 minutes ago. Are you supposed to do something with Jeff today? And that's from Rebecca. And I go, "That's my bad. I shouldn't even talk to him."
Do you know me?
I know. I
You
know.
do, right? All
I
right.
get
Then
it.
why are
I
you?
get it.
Don't talk to me about doing things. Talk to her about me doing things,
Yeah.
and I'll do
Uh,
the things that you talk about.
hey, so how's the radio podcast world? Let's deal with it one at a time. The radio
Man,
world's kind of crazy.
the podcast. Oh God,
Okay, go
man.
podcast. Go
Whoa,
podcast.
God, I'm so exhausted from the real world. The podcast world has been great escapism. Rockyology, the hour-long music podcast, now has two dose of them babies, broadcast outlets. Um, we started the whole Rockyology thing. It's an hour-long music podcast, which I just said, started at the invitation of Richard Wenham over at NPR 88.1 here in town, WUTC, the university broadcast outlet over at University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. And we got the first one in, and then coronavirus hit. We're now at number 13. I've been doing one a week ever since, and we're finally getting back online. And my own station, Nuga Radio 92.7
Yeah.
on the FM terrestrial band, they're going to start doing them on Friday nights, next Friday at 6 o'clock, 6 to 7, your gateway into the weekend. Some escapism there, too. So that has been fun, man. I mean, I've just been digging into my own musical past and just kind of just trying to dredge up some stuff that people have not heard before, even though they might be familiar with the music or the musicians, just alternative takes, demos, and stuff like that, live stuff, and maybe some of that blink and you missed it, cuts from things that I sort of paid attention to that maybe you didn't back in the day, and then you'll hear some stuff you heard. And then the Storyville, it's been particularly interesting lately because on Tuesday of this week, on June 9th, was that Tuesday? Yeah.
Yep.
It was the 40th anniversary of a pivotal moment in my life when three of my friends and I went out west, June 9th, 1980, and we just took off in a Buick Electra with a little trailer behind us and went out west. And we stayed gone the whole summer, and we didn't sleep in a bed the entire time. I mean, we went around. I mean, when we say out west, we mean we circumnavigated the entire continent. We went to every major national park. We went up into British Columbia, all the way down the west coast, came down into Mexico, and literally did not sleep in bed the entire time. It was an epic trip, a golden moment, and I'm taking a few of the podcasts and just devoting them just to nothing but the memories of that trip. We've lost one of those guys since then, and I got the other two on the phone the other day, and we just reminisced, and it's really wonderful. Thank you for asking about that.
Well, haven't you found? I mean, I'm doing a lot of videos, and some of them are for informative or business and personal preferences, but it is therapy. It is therapeutic to go down memory lane with those kind of folks because a lot of times without this technology, a lot of times those just get put in the closet and we don't talk about them anymore.
You have to. You literally have to. I mean, considering what I do right now, I'm immersed in what we have to talk about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we do. I don't get the opportunity being a talk radio host to turn off the news and to not read the newspaper and to unplug. I know so many people who do, and they seem to be the better for it, frankly. That I don't think that makes them a better citizen. I don't think it helps them be a better American patriot and, have solidarity with them by my side as I go into the trenches if they're socially illiterate on what's going on. But God, they seem to be happier, and I just don't have that luxury. So,
But there's got
there
to
was
be
a
a
guy.
fine line too, though. You got to have some
Yeah, I
time
mean,
where you
I
unplug.
have unplugged a couple of times and just plain just walked outside and taken the dogs and gone for a long hike for a day and a half, like a day and a half long hike, and just gotten away from it. The coronavirus was bad enough, and then the tornadoes, and then now, of course, the rioting in the streets. Rebecca and I were bathing. We were steeped in that stuff for days, and it took the national media a shamefully long time to catch up to what was going on in our major cities in America. It literally took them 3.5 days to even begin the coverage.
So when you
And
say
by
that to
the
catch
time,
up, what does that mean?
it means that on Thursday night and Friday night, they did nothing. We kept watching remember that old network that covered the Iraq wars, the Gulf wars? Where Bernie was diving under the table because he thought he was going to get blown up. What was it called? CN and N, something like that. And
Kananana.
America, America, turned its eyes to this 24/7 news network. What a stupid idea that was. A 24/7 news cycle. Who who would buy into that? Um, and then at the same exact time, the rise of Rush Limbaugh and talk radio ascended. Americans became hungry for information. We became news junkies. I mean, the spike went into the vein. We had to have information all the time. And then, here comes Fox being the answer to the far left CNN, and they just became state run political media as far as I'm concerned. And it just depends on which way you want to lean. And I haven't watched CNN in forever, but it was the only thing other than streaming video and audio that we could find. Sunday night, Saturday and Sunday night, we're watching our own local networks. They don't have any reporters down there, but they had a couple of people that were doing streaming video. Channel 12 was first, Channel 3 followed. The poor Channel 3 reportress was terrified.
I saw
She
part of
was
that.
she was literally crawling up the fence trying to get away from the action while still having the camera on the action, and caught it. And all this stuff was happening. And Saturday morning, we kept flipping back to the networks, waiting for them to go live to the country being on fire.
Yep.
And they just wouldn't do it. And it was, I think, one of the most shameful times in the American broadcast network's history. I think they should all have their licenses yanked, to
Well,
be honest with you, by the
I,
FCC.
I do a weekly podcast with Monica Perez. He's the host of the Propaganda Report, and she and I have talked
Yeah.
about this for months. I mean, for the last year. We have built such a world now that no one. I spend more time, and I say I just as in we the people. We spend time discrediting your resource. So, in other words, if you say something and say I get my news from here, I'm going to spend my time discrediting that source rather than listening to it and seeing what's true about it. And so it's
That's true.
almost yeah, and it's we gripe about shit so much that we're in control of. I am so disappointed, not only in our media coverage and putting the spin on it. I personally think there's a difference between protesting and riots. I think some of the stuff that's going on are bad people, a few bad people taking advantage of a situation.
Well, it's the exact same thing with law enforcement. It's a few bad people making everybody look bad, and then we all want to paint with the wide, brush, right? The
Yeah,
broad
well,
brush.
and we spend all our time as we the people on social media, in my opinion, we just have to be right. I wrote this down. We've got a framework in the country built in the way they developed it, whether it's intentional or accidental, I don't care. But it's allowed us as human beings to bounce inside this framework and work out evil stuff, good stuff, and bad stuff. We all had one thing in common, though. We're Americans. We're trying to be better people. And now we don't listen to understand, and we don't talk to be understood. With that
Well, I
being
was I
said,
was going
it's
to say
yours.
I would disagree with you on the tiny point. I think that that's the best way to look at America, is that we're all Americans who want it to be better. And we will all stand up and speak our viewpoint, and we'll speak our truth to power. And that's the best America we can imagine. What we've devolved into is I'm going to surround myself with people of like mind, and we're going to block out everybody with an unlike opinion, and we're going to surround ourselves with an echo chamber, and that's the only opinion we're going to allow to leak in. And the difference between you and I, of course, is that I'm always right, and that
Yes.
you're generally wrong.
Yeah.
And you are right in that one tiny little point.
Yeah.
And the sense that we do spend a lot of time discrediting the people that disagree with us. And if you go back to the father of debate, Cicero, he lived a couple of years before me even, back
Wow.
in ancient Greece, and he said the first thing you do is you sit down with your opponent, you honor his viewpoint, and then you proceed to take it apart. That's the same way that William F. Buckley Jr. used to do it in Crossfires, the same way that George Will, who, by the way, completely agrees with me, along with every active duty general and admiral and retired general and admiral, pretty much everybody in the military right now agrees about the president and the commander in chief, that he is currently a real threat to the U.S. Constitution and a threat to the balance of power in this country, more so than anything I've seen in my lifetime, more so than really anything that we've seen in our lifetimes. The man is, in my honest opinion, delusional at best, at best. And the lie upon lie upon lie upon lie that he's asking us to believe is preposterous.
See, I
And
hear that, and this is my issue when
don't
we.
just hear it, believe it. Believe it, it's true.
Well, I'm not an echo.
Yep.
Am I supposed to be an echo chamber? Damn it! I'm
No, no,
sorry.
no, no. It's. I mean, there's just no denying this. You see it and hear it with your own eyes.
Well, there are things though, and this is where we get into the tennis match. I don't think it's just our president. I think it's the political system we've built in. If you look at not all of them, but if you look most of the major leaders that we have right now, name me one that's not a hypocrite. They get on to Trump for the photo op with the Bible. I get it. But then they start doing the things that they're photo ops, that they put the traditional
There's
African
only one who
scarves.
is the commander in chief of
I
the
get
United States Armed Forces.
I
There's only
get that.
one who can actually command active duty military to go into the
Has
streets
he done
and
that yet?
fire upon their own people.
But he hasn't done that.
There's only one who can do that.
But he hadn't done that. He's
No,
not
no,
done
he
that.
hasn't, but he was
Yeah.
certainly well prepared to. And that photo op was one of the biggest abominations ever seen in the eyes of the world. Don't
Well,
laugh. It's not
I
funny. It's
I
not
I
funny.
I don't think it was the worst photo op ever taken. And I think if
Oh, well,
we're
name a photo op that was worse.
I think the ones of the congressional leaders kneeling with the African scarves around their neck were pretty bad.
Oh, they didn't shoot people with rubber bullets and
I
tear gas
I,
them.
I agree with that. So I get
They
it.
didn't. As a matter of fact, let's see. The current chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the current National Secretary of Defense have decried the entire thing and said they wish they hadn't been a part of it. Let's see, the Archbishop of the Catholic Church, they went to the day after and rubbed the wreath like it was a standard poodle in front of the statue of the Saint John Paul II, the bishop of the church that he used for the photo op, and Pat Robertson, for God's sakes, the head of the evangelical church for all practical purposes, all have said, using the Bible. Did you see how I was holding it? Like, bingo, bingo. I've never held one before. Is it about? It is a Bible.
Did his
The man,
hand
man,
did his hand burn? Did his
good
hand
Lord.
see
You can
here?
see the sizzle coming off of it. I've never seen anything like it before. And
Well,
since then,
I'm gonna say here's this.
my podcasts are going great, by the way.
I'm gonna say something that most people who voted for Trump, and I voted for Trump because I didn't like the alternative, will not say. And this is exactly what I expect from people who disagree with me. If we cannot say things like this, I mean this, I really wish that somebody had got in front of him and said, we don't need to do this photo op right now. I wish people
They
would get
did.
him. I'm saying I wish he would have listened then. And I also wish he would get off Twitter half the time. And I wish he wouldn't say a lot of the stuff he says. But I also, and with that being said, I wish we'd had a better selection at the time to vote for. I think we had plenty of options. Republican and Democrats have plenty of chances to put better people up front. But let me ask you, and you and I've talked about this before, with the way we scrutinize people and go back 30 years, 20 years and pull out one thing and go, okay, we're going to crucify you in the media now. How do you have good people running for office or better people? We've gotten what we deserve on both sides. So I wish both sides would hold their teams accountable. If you're going to ask me, do I think Trump is the greatest guy ever and is he the best fit for office? No, probably not. But what alternatives did we give ourselves? It's our fault.
We didn't. All right. It is our fault to a degree, but I'm sitting up here at Lewis Chapel Mountain, Tennessee. You're sitting where you are, sequestered in your home, being a germaphobe. And so what can we do to, I mean, I was just as horrified as anybody else that Pelosi, my God, and Schumer are still in charge of the Democratic Party. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat any more than I'm a Republican. I'm just more mortified at the Republicans right now, the Senate Republicans. I talked to Lamar Alexander yesterday, and I put him on the spot with the same kind of language and the tone that I'm using right now, and he effectively found a delicate and genteel way to crawfish his way out of the conversation, which is, I learned a long time ago not to try to tell the president what to do and how to act. It's just my job to figure out ways we can find common ground and try to move forward. And was on a conservation bill. You know me. How am I going to find, room to argue with that?
Right.
But right now, the only institution left in this country, he's on the wrong side of history. He's on the wrong side of what is right and wrong. We saw it with our own eyes. We've seen every reaction since with our own eyes and heard it with our own ears. He is wrong. He's wrong. The Republican Senate is wrong in being monolithic, completely just unwavering in their support of him. He is dangerous.
Well,
Mad Dog Mattis said he is dangerous.
But
every sitting living president that is still out there said he is dangerous. He is dangerous to the Constitution. He is a dangerous man. He is delusional at best, and he is power hungry. And he is dangerous to all of us. If there's martial law, it's not William Jefferson Clinton. It's not Barack Obama.
I agree. I understand. But I will say
this man.
I will say this, though. And again, I'm going to go back and say where I think the responsibility lies the most. And I'm going to always go back to us. And here's why. This is the system we've built, and we can yell about it. We get on Facebook and we pick a side. And if I am only going to hold your team accountable and not my team, then we're going to get it to where, hold on one second. We're going to get it to where we have politicians who are scared to break ranks with the Democrats when they're Democrat, Republicans with their Republicans. Why? Because now not only am I getting hammered by the left, but now my own team doesn't want me anymore, and we're complicit in it.
Who am I supporting?
No, I'm not. I'm just talking about in general, world, the structure we've built.
I'm just saying, who am I supporting right now? I'm supporting President Mike Pence.
No, I see what you're saying.
I'm supporting President Mike Pence to step forward and use whatever protocol is available to him. And then in October, November, we'll decide what happens for 2021. I'm just saying, your house is on fire, Clint. Your house is on fire. You've had an old sofa that really needs to be, where's the foam? Where's the foam?
Well, let me ask you this: what happened?
The house is on fire, and you've got to put the fire out. Then you'll worry about the old sofa not having foam.
This is
you got to put the fire out first.
Tell me, and I know you have it in your brain, so I want you to tell me, what did Trump do to cause the riots? Just so I know. Because he's not the first one to have riots under his shift. They were back in Obama, too.
He didn't do anything to cause the riots.
Okay.
But everything he's done since then has been tone deaf. He's not reading the room. Again, he's on the wrong side of history. He says one thing while he was making his speech to the American people. Basically, the routing, the Battle of Lafayette. The Battle of Lafayette was being waged against peaceful protesters. He's saying, I'm on the side of the protesters while they were routing them with rubber bullets and tear gas.
Well, but
now he's taking his first Trump rally, might as well call it a rally. And he's taking it to Tulsa On Juneteenth, to the day, 99 years to the day, to the worst race riot ever that took place on the soil of America, at the soil of the United States of America. 300 plus people, black people, and their entire neighborhood burned to the ground. It's a little chapter of American history that most people don't know about. And he goes there to have his first rally. That may be coincidence. I don't think he knew about it. I don't think he knew anything about the Insurrection Act.
You
I
know
don't think he
what?
knew anything about posse comitatus.
I
His
think
handlers do. He doesn't.
I hold you accountable for this, because the one day that I have to get off here early, you go down this road. Damn you, Jeff Styles, because now I'm looking at the clock going, son of a dadgummit, I don't have time to
My
start.
podcasts are doing great.
Well, my question is, so let me ask you this, and then I want to talk about something more lighthearted. And then let's do a podcast or a video where we can talk about this more, because I like this. Are you just as upset with the people that are taking advantage of it and burning down businesses and killing and
Yes.
hurting other people? Is that
Yes.
much anger and vehement stance against that?
Yes,
Then
absolutely. It's
I love
preposterous.
that.
And they're not some sort of organized Antifa rebels. There are people out there. There are certainly Antifa out there, certainly in Seattle, as we have this conversation. There's a police
Yes.
precinct taken over in Seattle. There is the very real likelihood that you have some Antifa rebels. The 75-year-old man that got his head cracked in Buffalo is not an Antifa rebel. The woman that was sitting down here at Miller Park in her aluminum chair with an upside down American flag is not an Antifa rebel.
Right.
That's
Well,
another
neither was
thing.
the retired black police officer that got killed by the rioters. I mean, there's tragedies on both sides of this. I think we've lost the ability to look at that, though.
And there's beauty on both sides of it. I mean, I
Absolutely.
used to just try to ask people, what would it take to get you off the couch and get you out there in the streets and get motivated? You know what the answer used to be? Coming after my freedom of speech. And you know what's happening right now?
Freedom of
Again,
speech.
none
Right.
of the previous presidents, this one, he asked CNN to print an apology for a poll showing him trailing double digits,
But you know what
14 points.
happens? Here's what happens right now. And then
No, I'm just as down on the looters
yeah.
and the people out there. But so far, the Department of Justice has not turned up any Antifa. They've turned up Klansmen. They've turned up Boogaloo movement people who want to see a new civil war. But they haven't turned up any Antifa people. They probably
I
will
think
at
they
some
did.
point.
I think they actually have some on a list. But here's what happens, and this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to go to pick out the headlines that confer what I believe, and I'm going to show you my stats and my headlines and the bad things your side does. You can do it too. And at the end of the day, what we talked about is I just had this conversation this morning. At the end of the day, if we do the tennis match of here's my stats and here's my headlines and here's what you did wrong,
We don't
and
go
then you do it,
anywhere.
we end up going. That's how you become not friends on Facebook, and it's bullshit.
No, you know who really is winning this. I mean, our own police chief here in Chattanooga. I'm not a resident of Chattanooga, but Chief Roddy, he's the boss.
He's
He went
awesome.
down there. He walked into the protesters and had his men walk into the protesters, defuse the whole situation. The policemen who went out there and marched with the protesters, who kneeled with the protesters, who sang with the protesters. We all need to be among the protesters. It's a
I
sick and twisted system.
I had a great conversation about an hour ago with a buddy of mine named Buddy Curry, a former NFL All-Pro. And he said to me, there are 2 or 3 things people need to do right now. He said they need to listen without talking back. They need to hear people. They need to hear, especially your African-American friends, they need to listen to them to understand. He said the second thing is, before we start talking, we need to think. Think about and listen first, then think, then talk, and then do something. And I listen to him and I go, man, if everybody would take a deep breath and actually feel that way, that'd be great. Instead, everybody's knee-jerk reaction going, my side's never done anything wrong. It's all you. And your side's
I don't know who says that, to
you
be
need to go on
honest with you.
social media, man. And that's why I need to get
Well, no,
off
I
of it.
don't.
Yeah,
Well, look at me already. I'm
I
already
envy
wound up
you.
tight as a watch spring. And I mean, and this is just from somebody who's done nothing except look and tried to find common ground. I found every composite, compilation of all the good times and the wonderful moments and everything like that. But it doesn't wash over the fact that every time our commander in chief speaks, an angel dies.
That's just not true. It's not true.
It
Hey,
is true.
it is not true. Hey, so the folks in Seattle that took over that like 7 or 8 square block area, did you find it ironic that first thing they did is they put up fences, barriers They started frisking people as they're coming in, and they kind of deputized and had their own police force. I thought it was a little ironic that a lot of stuff they don't like, they actually have implemented.
I learned a long time ago, Clint, that if you really want a bunch of rules, put hippies in charge. Put anarchists and hippies in charge, and you will find yourself with more rules than you ever thought it could be possible to have, because they live with their own code and you cannot live within their code. There are way too many facets of the way that they want you to live life. And if you let them codify it, you will be outside of the law so quickly it will make your head spin.
I just thought
I
it.
couldn't live in Asheville. I love Asheville, but in Asheville, I am a straight up cracker redneck, and they would run me out of there.
It's not just
And
Asheville. There's a
no,
list of several cities you would be a straight out cracker redneck. So
I know this to be true. I'm just saying, I mean, buddy, I mean, this has been a very difficult time. It really has. I feel like I need to, in the words of the old Rolling Stone song, I need to get out there and get my fair share of abuse, because I am down with the protesters. We all need to be down with the protesters, and we need to be down with the side of law enforcement when they're doing the right thing. I know you saw the story about the guys up in Franklin County today, starting in Winchester
maybe I did. I
and
don't know.
ending up in that little town with the dude they let drown.
Mm-mm.
Did you
I have
see
to.
that?
I didn't see that. No, sir.
Oh
I have to
Lord,
go read about it.
I'm not going to go into it here. I mean, if there are still that many bad apples in law enforcement where they can let something like this happen, knowing that their body cameras are on, the lesson is not getting through. So
Well, on
if
the
we let
yeah,
this momentum go and we really truly let this moment go, moment and momentum, same root, then we have really screwed this up. We being the people, you and I and
mhm.
everybody, there's got to be some systemic changes here.
And I don't
And
think drowning out the voices of like most police officers I know that are great, that are good folks. David Roddy is one of them. I consider him a friend. He's been on my podcast several times.
absolutely.
And but again, it's almost like if we say, "Hey, it's okay to think about rethinking how we train our police officers. It's okay to have different expectations. It's okay to say things might need to change a little bit. And it's also okay at the same time to go, no, but I still support the police." It's almost, if you post something right now or say something that's a little different, it has to be 100% one way. Either defund the police, they're all bad, get rid of the system, or I stand by the police no matter what they do. I don't know of a police officer that stands by the police no matter what they do. I don't know of one. They're all like, hold us accountable, especially the good ones. They don't want the bad police
I've
officers.
got a few years on you, and believe me, they're out there. And I've been let off easy and forgiven and let go by the police 19 out of 20 times when they shouldn't have. So trust me on this one. And the one time is the one you remember.
Yeah,
And it sours you harshly. And this young guy that you'll have to look into it.
I
He
will.
they let him drown up in Deckard, and they made fun of him as he drowned and asked for help. He did nothing wrong other than try to leave because he didn't have a license when they blue lighted him. He was from Chicago. He was Latino. He was in Deckard, Tennessee. They laughed as he drowned. Check it out.
I'll
If
look at
they
it.
can do that with impunity in this atmosphere,
When did it happen?
we've about 2 days ago.
Okay. So,
And it's
but
made international news. It hasn't made news around here because of that very same blue line wrapping up around, and the police chief saying, well, they did the right thing because they're not trained for swift water rescue. It was a creek. It
I'll
was
look
a
at it.
creek.
I'll look at it.
And I mean, this, I'll ask you this question.
Yeah.
I gave Lamar Alexander, the president was doing the right thing. He was backing this conservation bill. He's doing the right thing and asking for systemic change and an absolute nationwide change in the way where there's not going to be any more chokeholds, not going to be any more submission holds like this. And there's going to be some order from sea to shining sea. Fantastic. When he, during the very same time frame that Mr. Floyd was being laid to rest, he said, I'd like to think that George is looking down and he's smiling on these unemployment numbers, which turned out to be fake, by the way, and false. Bureau of Labor Statistics messed those up. Did you think that that was a proper placement of his name, did you think that that was a right name drop? That was the
No,
right timing.
no,
An angel died. He spoke, and an angel died.
I
Once
get it.
again,
I
the
see what you're
man,
saying, and I want to do a podcast about this because I agree with that. But
President Gas, President Gas.
here's what we'll do, and then we'll do it. I'll make my list of things that he's said good and done right, and it'll prove my point. You'll say the things he's done wrong and bad, it'll prove your point, and at the end of the day, we're going to end up getting nowhere. Because
I'll
he's
bring reality, and I will just sit here like I am now, unarmed with anything but reality. And you bring whatever 3x5 index cards you got.
Hold on a second. I'm supposed to say this right now, Jeff. Let me read it off my card. Hey, before we wrap this up, and by the way, I hope this exchange has not made it to where you don't want to come on with me anymore because I don't mind this. I
No,
like it.
I love you.
I know. Hey, so you're getting ready to go outside.
Yes,
What are you going to
it's
go do?
beautiful.
What are you going to go do?
Well, I was hoping that our old friend Andy, who used to work for the Evil Empire with us, was going to be able to go out and do some hiking with me. He also has claustrophobia and cabin fever, but he punked out. So I'm going to get my dogs. I'm going to go out and jump into a swimming hole somewhere that you don't know about because you also don't leave your house.
I've been to the Blue Hole a couple of times.
You've been
That,
to
that
a blue hole. You haven't
no,
been to
yeah.
the blue hole. Trust
So
me.
real quick, but then I want to do another quick video with you in a second offline. But
I'm
the
going to try to
first
get Lurleen to go.
Laureen, well, she's too busy, kind of.
Being important,
Yeah,
being somebody.
she's actually got stuff she's got to do. The first time I don't know, man, I had been married. This is in the mid '90s, late '90s. I'd been married less than a year. No, it was probably about a year and a half, 2 years. My son was tiny, and I, of course, I had a stepson who was 7 or 8. I said, "Hey, let's go to the Blue. Let's go up to Saudi. Let's go swimming." And I told her, I said, "Now listen, if we leave early and get there early, it'll be fine. If we leave late and get there late, parking lot's going to be full. It's going to be crap." And I said, "And just be careful because it depends on how the makeup. It could be a little on the redneck side, just a little bit, not too bad."
Mm.
We went to the main parking lot. We get out, and I kid you not, we go. Of course, I wanted to leave at 8 or 9. We left at 12 or 1, which means it's going to be packed. It's a beautiful day. We get out. I'm the typical dad. I've got 4 things we're carrying up with the kids, and I look over as in the parking lot, and sure enough, there's a brawl. There's a fight right there in a parking lot. And I just looked around at her, and I said, "Let's just walk around them. Let's just go."
You don't have to go to every fight you get invited to.
Oh, no. We walked right around it, found us a nice little quiet spot. But I just remember we sat down, and because she don't live here a year and a half, she goes, "What in the hell have I done?" And I was like, "Yeah, I get it. You're welcome for that."
We've all had that feeling hanging around you.
Absolutely. I hope you have fun, and I hope your lovely your technical assistant goes with you today.
I think that the chances of that are very low. She's actually been visiting her family. She's been holed up here for 3 months, and she actually got out to see some friends, and she realized, hey, I can do this. I have a car. I can leave the dogs and this idiot here behind and go have some fun with some real people. And so now she realizes that she has wings.
And she comes
like
back. She comes back, and all of a sudden, Jeff's like, "Hey, can you push this button and start this stupid thing I'm going to do with Clint?"
That's exactly what happened.
She's like, "I'm in the shower.
Honey, I'm on with Clint in 3 minutes. Where are you?"
She's like,
I have to make his blood pressure go up.
You didn't make my blood pressure go up. I just want to do one where we can actually talk back and forth long without me having, because I'm doing another 1 o'clock with my friend Gerald McCormick.
Ooh, that ought to be good.
He's going to be part of a Father's Day video I'm putting together, which would be pretty fun.
All right. Well, cool.
Yeah.
I'll let everything settle down. Everybody.
We're all good.
Here's
the one thing I will say, and this is all honesty, and I think you know it. I can disagree with Jeff Styles all day long, but as soon as somebody tells my buddy Jeff Styles he can't say it, I'll stand with you and figure that one out.
They better not.
That's what I'm saying.
Clint can't say something. They say Clint can't say something. Ooh.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, can we jump off this one and then can you click right back in? Rebecca, I'm not even talking to you, Jeff. Rebecca,
Yeah,
can you click him back in?
You.
Okay.
I got you.
All right. Finish that Red Bull. Bye, Jeff Styles.
Bye, Clint.
See you, buddy.